favor? Show Mr. Evans is absent. Okay, Scott, would you like to do the communication?
That's right. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day, for each and every one of us gathered together here today to do the city business. And Lord, we just ask you to lead, guide, and direct us in our endeavors. Lord, thank you again for this great community and for this state and this country. Lord, we just ask that you would be with all our men and women abroad and here in our borders, protecting us and allowing us to have the wonderful liberties that we have. And Lord, we just ask you to anoint each and every one of us to do the best the duty that we can to serve our citizens and represent you and all we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody to our September working session. Appreciate everybody coming. So this is our business before we go. We'd like everybody to be here and make their voices heard. We have a proclamation. Going to just read it off here.
They actually called and we won't be able to attend until the council meeting on the 10th.
So we may just skip this.
Yes.
Motion to
Motion to amend the agenda. Can you hear me? Motion to amend the agenda to remove the proclamation and to remove it for the regular meeting. Postpone to the regular meeting.
all in favor. Old business, we have none. New business. Vanessa is wearing playing double hat. Ray is in training this week. That's what she's doing. That stuff for him as well. Under new business, we have Henry County Planning and Zoning item number 1 will be presented by Vanessa. City clerk's resolution to adopt a resolution for the city Stockbridge short-term work program 2011 to 2015. Capital. You can turned up. Stay right here. Stay right here. Okay, it's to adopt a resolution for the city of Stockbridge short-term work program for 2011 to 15 and capital improvement element updates prepared by the Henry County Planning and Zoning Department. That's your tab number 1.
This item is the DCA accepted our document we submitted 3 months ago, and all the council needs to do here is support it. October 31st is the deadline, and we don't want to lose qualified local government status.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Gilbert.
I have a couple of questions on the short-term work program list of projects. Item number 8, treatment plant upgrade, years 2010 to 2014. Responsible party, City of Stockbridge, cost estimate $10 million. It lists the status is underway, and I believe that particular part of the upgrade to the water treatment or wastewater treatment plant has been delayed indefinitely, if I'm not mistaken. The treatment plant belt press is underway. I didn't know that. Which is item number 9.
You know what? I've been advised already if there were any questions, but I need
Okay, there are 2 other items on the, oh, okay, this is completed, never mind. Scratch that.
Great. Okay.
If you'll get Ray, I thought if Kathy or anyone has any more questions, just Vanessa can take note of that. And then we'll ask Ray for the city council meeting, and he can get your answer to if it needs to be changed between now and then if we do that correctly.
That makes sense.
Mr. Mayor, to address my understanding of what Ms. Gilbert is speaking about, the $2 million is underway. I don't know if there's been an absolute rejection of moving forward with other upgrades for the water treatment plant, but I know that for budgetary purposes, we have chosen to I guess take one bite at a time out of the elephant, which is $2 million for the belt press. But I think the conversations we had, and as far as our budget and financial conversations have been the only reason that we didn't want to do some of these other upgrades at this time is strictly budgetary, not that they're not something that the city may need in the future.
Okay, I do have Ray on the line. I had stated that the belt press is the first part of it, so that project is underway, but the belt press is the first part.
Okay.
That's number 8, or number 9 is the belt press.
Correct.
So is 8 underway or
Underway.
8 is merely the total need and the total upgrade, and that's the whole package of 10 or 12 million. But we only move forward on the 2 million belt press at this time. So my understanding, and I think Ray's confirming, is that we're going to continue to chew away at the increases in the needs of the improvements to our sewer and water. But right now, we can only afford that 2 million.
I think that the probably should be postponed due to funding. So that's the thing we talk right about. It's not, what you're saying is that right now, you don't have the funding to, right now it sounds like you don't have the funding for item 8, which is a $10 million project. And that you decided that until the fund is available, we're going to hold off that project. In which case we want to say postpone until funding. But it does sound like you were on the treatment belt press.
We are.
Well, let me put it in the way I understand it in our finance line items is that 8 and 9 are separated now. But truly, if you look at the projects for the city, they're $12 million. We could do $12 million, so we bid off $2 million and move forward with the belt press. All of those other items are, you're correct, Mr. Well, they're going to be done. They're still on the table to be done, but it's budgetary reasons as to why we only chewed off $2 million. But all of that was really one large recommendation project. We're only able to do the belt press at this time. So is there a good way to put that in proper language?
Yeah, you would just say that it's postponed due to funding. That's the way to identify the status, but that's, but we'll let Ray, when he's letting chime in on that.
I think we probably do, because it sounds to me like if the belt press is $2 million and the total project is $10 million, that the balance should be $8 million as opposed to $10 million, or is it a $12 million project total?
My understanding is that the originally started as a $12 million project, and it's been reduced by $2 million at this time, and construction and the ordering of the belt press and all that already moved forward.
Item 43. This is Davis Road from Clark Highway 42, sidewalks and streets finished. The years of 2008 to 2015, city's property and party. Estimated cost to be determined. Grants applied for is underway. The question was asked, can we reprioritize or whatever if they're still asking for their sidewalks from down here to be go back along Railroad Road, particularly since we got all this traffic and stuff coming down there. And I don't know what we're street. Okay. Yeah, basically the sidewalks and people, I was calling twice from the food depot back down. I think I was going to carry many area and bring that place down there. But they're listed 38 and 39, we jumped down to 43.
I think, Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think that the 43 is part of the LCI relative to the streetscape along East Atlanta, and it's a part of the LCI project list, and that's where the grant money was applied for through the LCI to do that project.
Just say to the city, it's funny to them, we're putting sidewalks somewhere, but they've been asking for years and years, whether we call it LCI or something else.
Mr. Mayor? It's my understanding that this particular piece has already been funded through a T grant, and that we were basically on the cusp of proceeding where we're at on this particular project. The T grant came in, we've got the funds available. All we got to do is allow the work to go forward. It's my understanding that when you apply for a grant, and Mr. Welch, correct me if I'm wrong here, when you apply for a grant, a T grant or an LCI grant, specifically the T, you can't take those funds and utilize them elsewhere. You have to use them where they've been applied for. That, and that's really the crux of the problem. I certainly am in support of what you and I have talked, and I know the council has heard from the needs of the citizens about the sidewalks. Harold and I talked about this before, just recently. You can't see people walking in that corridor because the street lighting is not as much as you would like it to be. So I think the need is certainly valid to put sidewalks in that area, but we can't move those monies, or we'll lose those monies. So we've got a great opportunity to do the street beautification and increase the sidewalk and the mobility of the walking safety in our community. And that's my understanding that Ray has already applied for and completed the application for the monies to do the railroad sidewalks. But like I said, Mr. Welch, if I'm wrong, we can't move those monies. We basically lose those monies.
The money that we spent in accordance with the application is required. So if the grant's been corrected, we have received grant funding for our funding, then it's tied to that particular project.
That's going to be number 45. That was the grant, that's the grant.
And the money is gone as well.
But we didn't have to spend $500,000. I'm saying it's the same thing. I'm not, all these things have with this. Things listed on the line. I think whatever the numbers there are, do whatever.
Who can't hear?
Whatever drops down on it there. I'd just like to see us maybe need to wait to bring these back. Can you turn those up? He's turning them up. Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Councilman.
I'm in agreement with you on this cancellation because this 900,000 is actually in our books is way less than what the actual bids came in. Remember, the bid for that particular project was $1,200,000 and some change. We only had $400,000 match, so we had to come up with $6.5, almost $700,000. So you and I, all of us agreed at the time, and now I think that was a great decision to cancel that because it was just safety hazards and a big expenditure. But if you look at the T at this one particular area, in my mind is we're talking about adding good sidewalks to city limits and for our citizens to walk back and forth safely, I have a different feeling on why we should cancel or not move forward with street beautification and good, safe sidewalks when the monies are already secured and it's done at really, really low rates, so we can afford to do this. And then it also compounded the benefit of our community by moving forward with the grants for the Railroad Street area. I just don't understand why we would want to consider canceling one, because if we canceled it, if we could move those monies over, then it would make sense and prioritize it that way. But I'm a proponent of moving forward with what we got the T-grant for, and certainly when the monies become available, well, let's jump on and prioritize Railroad Street because it is a big need.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Gilbert?
I believe that Mr. Gibson can provide some clarification on that when he's available, because I believe there's grant in progress for some of these very projects that you're talking about.
Okay, well, there's no voting tonight anyway.
Yeah.
Good discussion. I just think we need to get the answers for the people who have been asking the same questions. All they can see is how we're spending our money. I'd just like to see the priority on what they're doing. And probably, Harold, you might want to talk this at the Public Works. That's what I've told them all. Come to Public Works, tell them what you want. And yeah, that's right there. And I think this should be a good discussion of them there at that point. Okay, anything else? Anybody else on the board? Number 2, resolution agreements and ordinances presented by Smith, Welch, Webb, and White. And Anita, are you going to present, or Andy, you presenting that?
I'll stand in for Anita. Sorry, Mr. Mayor. We have 2 ordinances. We'll take the first one dealing with the assessment of collection payment of state mandated fees. This is which is motor vehicle traffic. This one deals with the penalties of violation of our uniform rules of the road. We've adopted those uniform rules of the road in the city of Stockbridge so that they can be enforced within the city of Stockbridge and prosecuted here. We have 2 police officers that patrol the city of Stockbridge, and they bring those cases to our municipal court. For some of those violations, they are considered a misdemeanor of high aggravated nature, which under general law allows for the courts to impose a fine of up to $5,000 or 6 months in prison, or 12 months in prison. So what we've done is amended this law to recognize those state laws at the request of the judge. We would like to be able to, instead of having to pull out the entire OCGA fine or code section, point to it, he can pull out the standard ordinance that he has there and point to that provision as a penalty that he may impose upon. That's the short of it.
So basically, it's making it in line with the state.
Yes, sir.
Ours, is it raising or lowering?
Raising.
Raising.
Our charter is set at $1,000, and so we are stuck with a $1,000 fine. But where general law supersedes the local law, the higher amount will be put in place.
Okay. Anyone else?
And we need to vote on this. We can't put this on the consent agenda, is that correct? Because it's an ordinance.
Yes, ma'am.
Questions? Number 3. Presented by Smith, Welch, Webb, and White again, court clerk, ordinance to amend Title 11. And you can prove for that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Anita, court clerk, for the judge. Also wanted to update our collection of payments and state mandated fees. The current ordinance is antiquated in that it has the old provisions, the old fines and fees that used to be the case of $40, $9, various fines and fees that are assessed to the person's convicted. And this ordinance here just revises that and ties it to whatever the state law says. So instead of having to go back every a year or 2 years and update the numbers inside the ordinance, we're just going to track the state law.
Any questions? No questions? And number 4, be presented by Vanessa. It's a resolution authorizing the city to operation into a contract with Total Tech Technologies for IT services. Number 4 in your head.
Yes, sir. The city submitted an RFP for IT support services. And Ray has spoken with Stuart Board. We've had several meetings with the IT department. And we are going to support the $5,667 per month contract fee for services that will cover service delivery and maintenance with the exception of particular projects such as transitioning away from AS400. And this is $68,000 annually, and this covers all operations and problems with the existing infrastructure. Anything outside of the existing infrastructure will come at a reduced rate of $95 per hour. One item that has been pending for the city is to get the GIS mapping onto the server. Implementation of this process has been delayed pending a contract for IT services and not having the item invoiced at an hourly billable rate. Monthly meetings and reports to help identify and address concerns are also included in this package.
I have one concern, maybe it's not on the first page, that we got them all listed. It says backup and disaster recovery not included. Additional services beyond, is that just for?
That was only on the last vendor.
No, we do have it with.
That's only on the last vendor.
Okay.
That's last
Good.
One thing that I did want to bring up too, in addition to that, is we are looking to upgrade financial software for the city, and this is one of the key reasons that we've elected to go with Total Technology Group. And Stuart, if you wouldn't mind, I would like you to come up and explain what is going to be involved in the AS400 transition.
We have one major concern, and that is our main application server for the city. That is what does all of our financials, our utility billing. It's literally the heart of the city. You mentioned, Mayor, disaster recovery. It is a big obstacle in a disaster recovery plan for the city because there's no online backup for it. It's a very old machine. It was purchased in 2000, actually in 1999. There was no online backup at that point, and it has not been upgraded since then. In extracting the data from it for these other vendors and overseeing it's a critical part of moving the data from it to a Windows-based server, and that's what the folks at the city have indicated they wanted to go with, was a Windows-based server. Part of that will be extracting the data and getting it, making sure that it's correct and that the companies read it correctly. If they don't, for instance, we have problems with balances working out in accounts payable or in the financials. We had issues with ADP when we moved to ADP for the payroll. It took quite a bit of transitioning there and explaining what data we had given them in order for them to run the conversions to put that data into their systems. So that is really where we think our focus should be, is on replacing that financial system and in turn getting a high availability system in place that will allow the city, should the building burn, to continue operating like it never happened. At this point, we don't have the technology in place to do that. It's primarily because of the server that's so old that there's not a way to do it. There are backups being run. I don't mean to alarm them and say that we don't have backups. But high availability and doing backups are two different things. High availability means that if something happens here, if this building is hit by a tornado, we would still be able to work tomorrow. And if we have a backup, that's great. We have the data, but we don't have the servers, we don't have the infrastructure in place. We don't have any place to put that data so we can work with it that way. And until we move away from the AS400, we're not going to have that ability. So we can really discuss this regularly. And it's critically important that we look at that and get that taken care of as soon as possible.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Gilbert?
I'm thrilled to hear what you're saying, because 4 years ago when I was first elected, one of the things that I found out about through some of my training had to do with online backup and the availability or the ability of a city. It happened to be Vienna down in the south part of the state where the city hall was hit by it may have been, anyway, the city that was hit by a tornado, and they were literally up and running because they had
Wilson.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor Stewart. Thank you, council members, for allowing us the opportunity to share more about the plans and vision for the refreshing.
Speak a little bit louder.
I said, good evening, Mayor Stewart, and thank you, council members, for allowing us the opportunity to share for a moment the vision for our ministry. We started in 2007 in the city of Stockbridge, and we moved shortly after that to Rex, Georgia, where we've grown in 2 years to right about 150 members, with several thousand that also join us on our online congregation. Many of our members are from the Stockbridge area, and we recently made a decision to relocate back to the Stockbridge area. If that is possible, we have several ministries that have allowed us to do some very interesting things in the Rex area. We've always employed a low-cost structure. I'm a working pastor as well, too. I've worked for several CPA firms, including PricewaterhouseCoopers. With our low-cost structure, we've done several things, including a remediation program in the school system in Clayton County. We have a women's ministry, men's ministry. We've done local and global ministry as well. Local with the school systems as well as global with the hurricane reliefs and also the earthquake reliefs in Haiti. Our marriage ministry, after 3.5 years, we're still a church with a 0% divorce rate. Our focus is on the family, and those are the things that we really hold very near and dear to us. Our plan, if you all would allow us to come to the city of Stockbridge, just within the first 6 months, is to establish our operations, also to begin partnering with other nonprofits and other community leaders so that we can make an impact in the city. Again, we're very confident that given the opportunity that we can add to the social, intellectual, academic, and also to begin empowering the residents of Stockbridge, Georgia. And again, I just want to thank you all for allowing us to share briefly what it is that we do and why we think that we can be an impact and benefit to the city.
Any questions?
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Gill?
I would suggest that we put this on the consent agenda.
This is downstairs,
Yes, sir.
backside.
Yes, sir.
So there was a church before.
There was a church next door. We're going into the area, we would like to go into the area that is currently unbuilt out and to build it out into a church facility.
The back right?
Yes, sir.
Looking at it in the back, it's the back right?
Yes, sir. Always be right. Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Gilbert?
So moved.
There's one you put on the consent agenda.
Thank you all so much. We appreciate you.
Okay, Ray is not, you're not going to do the, Ray's not here to do an update on the budget.
He did want me to mention the fact that he had met with all the department heads and they were finalizing the budgets for each department.
Okay. Next is Veterans Day Festivals, which I will again give you all a little briefing. I understand there's a lot of discussion going on around here about it. And I will explain it to you the way it's come about, and we'll see what the council wants to do. The Veterans Day Committee from last year, it grew a little bit this year. We've done something a little bit different. The decision was from the committee that we would do 2 different activities. One would be a veterans dinner on the 10th, the night before. Miranda suggested trying to do it on the 11th, would not work very well since everybody else all over the place does that, and the dinners would be conflicting. And they said not everybody goes to dinner would want to be in the parade. So we decided we would do 2 separate activities. There was a spreadsheet given out there. Miranda, what was the cost for roughly estimate for the dinner?
$7,100.
Roughly about $7,100 for the dinner, and how much for the parade?
Approximately $6,000.
And about $6,000, so we're saying about $14,000. We've discussed it before. What I asked the council to consider, and I know there's not everybody supports doing all that. What I have said all along is that I think we even did the Memorial Day thing without the cities doing too much of that. There was a lot of donations and sponsors. What we've turned around and done is turn around and asked, we've started, the people on the committee started asking people to donate, to help. Now Miranda seems to think that we'll probably get, and I will start, she gave me their names, I will start twisting their arms or talking to them to see if we can get most of the food and stuff, the meals donated for the dinner. The dinner will be that they all can, we can seat 300 people. We will take 250 vets because 50 cadets will be involved in the program. One veteran can come with whoever they want to bring, one guest. If they want to bring 5 guests, they would have to pay for the other person. The donation, donations, they go to either, they make a donation. Does it go to either or is it to the parade?
That would be up to y'all as far as how you want to handle that. For Alan Vigil, his is going to the parade because that's what he wants to support.
Okay.
So I think we would have to ask the person that would be sponsoring what their preference would be.
Yeah. What we done, I just briefly went, when I was at the Vietnam Veterans Businessmen Association, I started telling the guys that we're going to do something in Stockbridge for the veterans. Last year we did the raising of a flagpole and had a pretty good turnout ceremony down there. And we thought we'd step it up a little bit this year. We'll have the dinner the night before and have a parade on the other day. Stockbridge Naval Junior ROTC has volunteered to provide the escorts and stuff for that night. At the dinner, you would turn around and the people that come, you'll be recognized, you'll be given I think the agreement now is we're going to do a dog tag, a generic dog tag that have a color says Stockbridge 2011 Veterans Day dinner or something like that. Everybody be awarded that. And we could do it each year as well on that. On the parade, it would start the next month. The parade is separate from the dinner, but it's to recognize those that not everybody that can be in the parade. And the parade will start from the city cemetery flagpole, and basically come right down past the city here, over the bridge, take a right, and go into Merle Mander Center. We'll set a reviewing stand up out here, probably in front of the municipal court building out here, and they will come in waves. We'll start with World War II vets. If we have any that's marching, if not, the kids will probably just carry a banner, but it'll probably have the World War II vets sitting on the reviewing stand. Alan Vigil has volunteered to provide all the vehicles for anybody that needs a ride. We can let them participate if they'd rather ride in or whatever. And then they're still working on the ways, and it'd be Korean War vets, and then the turnaround Vietnam veterans, and we're still trying to decide what the categories and stuff. We got Patriot, we have a huge bunch of people want to participate, from Patriot Riders to the American Legion to Marine Corps League. There's a whole bunch of veteran services out there that want to participate. Alan Vigil has donated $1,000 towards the parade. What I would ask the council on, I personally think that this is a good idea for the city to turn around and do and show their appreciation to the veterans. And what I would challenge all the council members to do, if each of us, if it's $14,000, that I would challenge each of y'all to raise $2,000 apiece if you feel so inclined, and I will raise the other $4,000 to turn around and cover it, or at least make the attempt at it. But what I've asked is that the city, if we fall short, would the city be willing to stand by and do that for their citizens? Now, I understand there's a lot of discussion. Don't like it, Ms. Gilbert, you're free to go ahead and make your comments regarding Veterans Day Center.
I'm just wondering what vehicle is in place to accept donations are these going to be tax deductible donations? Do we have a foundation or a fund of some sort set up that we will be able to place these donations into? I think if we don't, I don't know how we can possibly ask for people to provide donations if they don't have at least the potential of being tax deductible.
Well, I think what we need to do is back up. So how did we do the Memorial Day one? It's the exact same thing, except the number's bigger. Andy, can you answer that?
I can't tell you how you did the Memorial Day one, Mayor, but the IRS would recognize a donation to a public entity for tax write-off purposes. So typically you do it through a 501c3 to set that up. But the IRS will recognize the city donation to the city for tax write-off purposes. And that would just need to be an accounting done in our books, make sure that we take the money and place it into the appropriate line item in our books for Vanessa, or to get that done immediately. So it shouldn't be too much trouble. We can issue it in a letter later. It's the covering of the balance that you need to address. If there's a balance in whatever fundraising you do, that needs to be addressed in the budget. I don't know if there's a separate line item for charitable donations in the budget. There may be.
Yeah. But how did we and then how do we do it for money for Memorial Day marches, those donations or contributions, what do you call it, doing the same thing?
I don't think we did anything special at the time. It can certainly be changed. I'd have to first see how much was donated. Now, as far as being a separate line item, I don't think it's a separate line item right now. But I can create a separate line item. So, we are not a 501c. We're just a local government. So I don't know if we have to, apply for that.
Mr. Al, what I'll do is I'll check into that and have you amend on the councilman meeting on what the process has been. You'll have to do it. I don't think there is any in terms of the tax write-off is a extra benefit to the donor. It has no bearing on the activities of the city. In other words, if I'm going to donate to this event, I donate money to it. The money is free to be used by the city. You can accept those donations. It's on the giver of the tax, the giver of the money, to obtain a letter from the city or a letter from the 501c3 that is a certified 501c3 by the IRS. 4 weeks they can then get to their auditor when they apply for their taxes and ask for a credit. So that's kind of their own personal business. How individual can give the $1,000 and never claim it as a write-off. And that's up to him, and that's up to his company. So, we're kind of married to two ideas that really need to stay separate. And the only concern that the council should have with this is how to maintain separate accounting of the funds that are collected in, and then what you do with the balance if there is any. How you cover that balance.
And I believe we didn't, for the Memorial, we didn't advertise it as a tax donation. We just asked for contributions. Was it not? There wasn't, we said they could use it like that.
Monetary, how much did Memorial Day cost the city, or overall, how much was that event? I know we had a great time with the flagpole, the direction of the flagpole, and all the motorcycle riders and the walk, and all that was real nice. What kind of dollar figure was associated with that?
And now we're under budget. The budget was $2,500. We accepted $970 in sponsorships and day of walker money, which was $170. I'm not sure exactly where we came in, but I do know it was under the budget that we had.
Yeah, that was from Memorial Day. When you talk about the flag put up at Veterans Day last year, we did that.
How much was Veterans Day?
It wasn't.
We just paid for the flagpole.
This is another associated cost.
Yeah, other than
And that was put in the budget.
that book.
The flagpole was put in the budget.
That was about 10, I think we said
11,000.
11,000 came to put the solar lights and all that. Looks good up there. And this is basically what we're trying to say of this mayor. This year, we're not going to put a flagpole up. We'd like to turn around and honor the vets in two separate events. One is a dinner, the other one is a parade. We realize the parade's going to be, this is our first time, so it's going to be hit or miss trying to get it organized without you can see it being a, and I've heard a swell of people what they like the idea of it, that it can end up being an annual event, and then they'll end up knowing Stockbridge is one where you come to be a Veterans Day parade. But I wouldn't ever have any intentions of doing anything illegal or spending money illegally. I just think it'd be a good show of faith to all of our veterans around here that, and we can turn around and we're going to recognize them and do something for them each year. Vanessa.
Well, Dr. Jones is here.
I think I can figure out why the dinner's like 7,100. Why is the walk so expensive?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The walk is 6,000?
Well, because you have to,
And the parade?
right, you're right. Along with the parade, you've got to also factor in, the committee talked about doing a breakfast once the parade reached Mariners Center. So the estimated cost of that would be about $2,000. Banners and signage, we're going to have to do banners to advertise it. We're going to have to do signage to make sure people know where they're going. The estimation on that was $1,500. One of the original ideas, and this is the original estimation, was that we would give a cap to every person that participated in the parade. That would say something about, Stockbridge Veterans Day Parade 2011. The estimation on that was $2,400. And then miscellaneous stuff like having water for the walkers, making sure they have that. And then the flags, like we had for Memorial Day, are included in that too.
Thank you.
And again, those are just estimates, and I think everyone directed that they've already got the half numbers down lower than the figure that they were talking about to purchase that.
Officer out here at the school, where he was on the check on the caps.
Yeah. Dick Grimes, those are ballpark figures. We think that everything is going to be less than the Naval Junior ROTC school is. Oh, he did have a car wash. Oh, gosh, I forgot. They had a car wash last weekend, and they were raising funds to help pay for stuff. I thought he was looking to raise $500 through their car washes that they normally do, and stuff like that.
Mr. Mayor, I was just trying to look at this incrementally. I mean, we got the Memorial Day March, or the Veterans Day flag raising last year. Collectively, the city mayor came out of pocket, $6,000 or $7,000 for that was a erection of the huge, very beautiful flagpole with the solar, and it's going to be there for a long time. I'm just, I want everybody to be clear. You can, call me, or you raise me or whatever, and Lee, you know that my son's in the Army myself. Everybody in my whole family has served for hundreds of years since this country's been around. I'm just questioning how we take a $2,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 investment that was split between two activities and go to $14,000. We're feeding them breakfast, we're giving them hats, we've given shirts out, and I believe that shirts are nice. I'm saying we've got to look at some sort of controlling factor, and this is not from a disrespect point of view. I'm serious. I stand up and salute and thank everybody that has served in any form, way, form, or fashion. I appreciate you. I love you. That's why, we're able to have these liberties. I'm just questioning going from, like I said, two activities that were very, very nice and very appreciated for maybe a, $7,000 or $8,000. So that's $3,000, $4,000 between the two of them. Now we're going to spend $14,000 the very next year, and I believe, and I'm like you, I like improvements. I like solidified activities. I like to award everybody for their services, and I just we're talking about veterans here, but I'm just sitting here asking. I'm raising my hand because we got a council here that has to chime in, and when I vote tonight, I'm just sitting there going, I have no problem with parade and blow that parade out and give them a hat, give them a breakfast. I'm just questioning doing a twofold ginormous event. Can't we gradually maybe get there next year or look at doing something? I'm right now, if we want to vote on it, I would support a huge parade. That's what the veterans and the assembly of all the banners and activities and the parade. I even think it's great to have a breakfast. I'm just having a hard time getting my hands around the need of the $7,100 plus dinner as well. I mean, And so if anybody wants to, yell at me, call me a traitor, an American type patriot, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying I wanted to get my thoughts out there and do what you will. But I love, our armed forces, and it's just a raising of the hand of a question. We are in fiscal tight times. Okay, this city is in pretty good shape with finances. So $3,000, $5,000, $7,100 is not going to break us. But we're going to do this every year, and we're going to make it, $30,000 next year, $50,000 next year, $100,000. If we're going to do that, I'm going to throw my vote in. Any veteran that's a citizen of Stockbridge, just cut them a $5,000 check every year. They can use that a heck of a lot better. Okay? So I'm not saying that I don't want to respect and appreciate our veterans. I'm just asking, let's reel it in just a little bit and give them the honor and respect and a beautiful parade with all the homage that goes with a great patriotic parade. But I'm just questioning the need at this particular time to go to the 7,100 extra for a dinner and breakfast too. So I apologize for speaking so long, but I just want to really tell people I love my veterans and I appreciate you. But I'm just wondering if this is all really something that has to take place this year.
Well, Mark, not to, and we've talked about it before, I think you got your figures a little bit off though. Last year we spent roughly $12,000. We spent $11,000 for the flagpole. And with the Memorial Day thing said, we spent roughly $1,000, $1,500.
$530 for donations.
But I'm saying that the cost was still there. So you're talking $12,000 last year we spent. This is $2,000 more this year than what we did last year, just a little bit different. I'd be willing to bet, almost bet that it's not even going to be $10,000. Those were ballpark figures that are put there. The committee thought it was best to do two separate things because they got two different groups. Some people can't do the parades. They can't walk. They're not in. So there's a reason why it was for the dinner on it there. I believe I can go out there. I can get the dinner. If you don't want to put the money to the dinner, I think I'll go out there and twist enough people and get out there to pay for the dinners if the city wants to do the parade. But I'll do more than my share there. I'll lead the way and set the example on how to do it real easy. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that last year we spent an additional $5,000 with the Halloween gift bags. That's not something we're doing this year, so that is an event that we're not spending money on in 2011 that we did last year. There will be community at the Movies in the Park night on the 21st, 21st. But that $5,000 that was allocated last year, we are not doing that this year.
And we spent $1,000 to sponsor a golf tournament that only 2 people from the city played golf in it. And Ray and Fred played in it. And there was no advertisement on half of City Stockbridge. So there's $1,000 we spent for it. I'm thinking, we can go looking back to it. I'm just asking, hey, this is what the committee wanted, and y'all would ask people, you can come to the committee, veterans thing down there. I just don't think it's asking too much, but I go out there. If you take your comments, if you don't think it's appropriate, I'll go raise the one. I just hate to change it on the guys right now at this point. Some of them are looking for the dinner. Not wait until they explain it on the parade. When they get there, we were hoping to have the donations of the food, Chick-fil-A, like they did for the whatever. As a matter of fact, look at combining on there. There's going to be a health fair or whatever all set around inside Merle Manders Center. Is guys from VA that has the flags, has you about your how to get your flag and burial rights, and have nurses and stuff. It's like a health fair set up inside of there for all the veterans and stuff come in. But again, there's no voting on it there. I just want to put that y'all just know, Harold, me, we'll turn around and get the committee. We can tell them what your wishes are, but me, I'm gonna drive home. I think I know I go out there and get the money, and if everybody do a little bit of their part, we can make it happen. Because that's it. It's only $2 grand more. What we've done when you nickel dime with $12,000, $12,000 on that, $1,000 for the other, $5,000 for the other. I mean, I think the money, we should be initial of the money is what I think what we have to do. Anyone else?
I did want to make one last thought on this. I agree with you. If my numbers are off, 12,000, whatever, 8,000. The key in my mindset when I look at that expenditure is we've got a flagpole that's going to be there probably 50 years. So that's something that solidifies what this council did for the community. It's going to be there representing our veterans and flying over that cemetery with respect to our servicemen and all the other people. So I'm not going to go any further with it. I just wanted to agree with you that we love our veterans. The expenditures are there. I'm just to the question out there. But the only positive part of the $12,000 is we have something that's going to last longer than breakfast or dinner.
Mr. Mayor,
Ms. Gilbert.
how long has this committee been meeting and looking at this project?
We have 2 meetings down here. We have two meetings. Third one's coming up. You were there.
I was at the last meeting, or I don't know, I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago, yes. And that was only the second meeting you've had?
Yes.
And when was the first meeting?
I have to go back and look at the calendar. Harold, you remember? That's when all the idea formed. That room was full of people down there.
Well, was it about a month before the meeting that I was at?
About a month, 6 weeks, something like that.
I'm just concerned that this is a rather huge project that maybe needs some more time to plan. How many sponsorships have you already secured?
I got one right there, and I know I'm gonna have 3 next week when I go in there, just like I go to my doctors. I take them in there and tell them, here, I need $500 from me. And they did it for memorial stuff. I can turn, but if y'all don't want to do it, that's fine. But the committee, we can get out, we'll raise the money ourselves. We can nickel down on all we want and concern. I'm all for supporting their vision on it.
I just have a question. Would this not just simply be a budget amendment to put this item in as a budget amendment and cap it, not to exceed, and whatever donations come in, that's good and fine, and that means that you didn't go over budget and you have that money left over, but it seems to me that this is merely a budget amendment item.
Well, that's what we did on the flagpole, not to exceed 10,000 or 11,000 and whatever it was. That's a good point. Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Welch.
that was what I was getting to at the very beginning of this meeting, of this portion of the meeting. So all that you have to be concerned about is making sure that your budget is in the budget. You can certainly set it as a cap not to exceed a certain dollar amount.
Well, one question that has come up is in regards to the DOT permit for the parade.
How long does it take? Normally 30 days.
What was it?
A DOT permit.
DOT permit, you're right.
Well, I don't know about putting it out, but yeah, we definitely, it's something that we would have to get started on because it's going to take a little bit of time to get everything filled out.
And there were some other things we got. They got to be coordinated. The schools were gonna not cross, have all the kids come out from the schools from Patrick Henry and Stockbridge stand on their side, waving the flags as they come down this side. It was just an idea that they thought, and Ralph Malone, I think, was the one. I used to remember as a kid, I was out there all the time for every Veterans Day, honoring the veterans when they came by.
Is this something that you all want to add to the October meeting? Because it would have to be approved in October for it to happen by November 10th.
Is that what that
Yes.
I mean, let's be clear, like I said, I have no problem talking about putting the parade in there. I was just questioning the actual dinner portion. So the parade part of it, if there's a way to put it on resolution or, whatever, that's fine with me. I mean, but we need to talk about, if we're going to invest the other 7,100 as well.
It would have to be an ordinance because you're amending the budget.
We'll prepare an ordinance, have it for you, and let you fill in the blank.
Okay, any more? Let's go forward. Okay, thank you. Urban Redevelopment Agency, Jim Butcher's, nothing on there. I don't think any, well, Finance Committee, Mr. Alcott, you have anything?
Well, there's a few things we talked about. I combined the Community Relations Committee meeting along with the Finance Committee meeting this past month due to my traveling and business. There's two other items that we talked about. One was we wanted to mention to everyone that Annette, correct me if I misquote any of this, but we discussed elevating the yearly budget for Smith West White Web to $125,000 a year instead of $100 due to overruns for the last 3 years is what she quoted me. I haven't done the homework, but then she also said we had to properly amend the budget to reflect the expenses that were incurred by the lawsuit. Those are going to be two different line items. And then we also had to clean up a miscellaneous item with the city employing the county to do our code enforcement. We had to move that employee's numbers, the end of the year salary to another department. So those are the numbers that she suggested that we had to get cleaned up budgetary. So that's going to come up in the ordinance for next month. Along with the Veterans Day, Mr. Mayor, there was at the Community Relations Committee meeting, we've already hammered the Veterans Day Festival, but also the Historic Society was brought to the meeting, and that's something that we need to talk about and work through. I don't know, I think it's gotten really late. I don't know if we just want to put that to another day, but some questions were asked about the funding and the activities of how the city is going to be involved in that committee or that society.
Andy, it was Ray and us was talking about, we needed to look at, we said something for the Historical Society, how we set up, we can start receiving things from them that people might want to, if they do another city, bequest something or leave it. I mean, I've already got somebody told us they might leave us the porcelain sign that was on the train depot out here that says Stockbridge.
Yes.
They want to see a show of faith from the city. I was serious. They don't want us just saying we're going to have it and hanging in my office down there or something like that. So there's pictures and stuff that we got to be able to receive. But I thought we had talked about putting money in there admin-wise, didn't we? Okay, but it's right in there. We needed something. We might want to be looking in there to cover the administrations of it there, of their meetings and stuff. Google Herald sitting with us up there. Some of the stuff that they're passing, we've got to get it reproduced, put on the web and stuff. I think there needs to be some kind of an organization we need to look at and make, whatever the other cities do.
Yes,
we need to do the same.
You're entitled to form a historic commission. And so that can be set, that would be your organization. And in that, they can accept donations of property and put them in a district. They can designate the sites, define a district, and we call it a historic district for Stockbridge, designate the sites, raise money for the purposes of acquiring property or for renovating donations that have been given to them. So you can set up the commission, and then the commission can start functioning in accordance with state law. We can prepare the ordinance that authorizes them and defines their duties and obligation, and then you can set up a separate line item in your budget to fund that organization, and then furthermore they can do their own fundraising to try and raise money and historical awareness. So if you want us to do that, I can to work on that.
Mr. Mayor?
Ms. Gilbert?
It would be appropriate if there were such a commission would it not, to have some sort of an executive director? I'm thinking in terms of a Main Street sort of thing, or if we have a historic society or commission, there should be some sort of a employee that oversees that.
In the other cities, most of the cities that we represent will have, essentially allow the commission to do the work. They will employ from time to time consultants to help them define. If you're going to set up a historic district, you are typically, you can do it by various means, but typically what happens is you hire a consultant to go and identify, label, and the historic nature of the properties, and puts together a compilation that then is utilized to get approval from the Department of Natural Resources that defines the district. And then that comes back and is voted on, and then that gets into a whole other set of regulations and restrictions on the exterior of buildings that are in the district. So there's some other layers we get into, but the first step is to set up a commission. And that commission then can, depending on the size of its budget, can determine how it wants to spend those monies for the purposes of setting up a historic district, hiring a consultant to help them, those kinds of things. But step one would be the commission, and step two would be looking at a district if you want to do that.
Well, that's, I think, Harold, we brought up that the question was brought up, and we need to set up some kind of board or directing. It's been the last 2 times we've done this. Everybody's just gotten together, seeing if there's interest in it. I have a stack of that historical documents now and stuff, so that's what we're going. If you can give us some guidance and stuff how to set it up, because
I'll get it
coming together. I feel they have that stack there, and well, somebody needs to be in charge of this stuff, and I definitely don't need that at all. I mean,
I'll get the commission ordinance prepared for you, and then you can start reviewing it. We can actually look at the language that tracks the state law, and then you can decide how you want to go from there.
did we set a date for the next one? Was there a date?
I wouldn't blank.
You want to blank? I can look at my notes.
I'll have it for you at the October workshop.
I'll try and figure out what it was. Okay. Public safety and public works.
We have a meeting Monday night, 6 o'clock in the library.
6 o'clock. Is that, y'all meeting? When Ray and me went out to the Monarch Village the other night, is that going to be a traffic light discussion? I've been getting phone calls on them when they're going to. So it'll be 6 o'clock Monday night. Okay, and in case anybody from Monarch was here on that. Get us both combined together. Building committee, sure.
At this time, we don't have anything to report, and we don't have a meeting this week.
Okay. And announcements there, so the ERA is 5 p.m. on the 6th. The regular council meeting is on the 10th at 6. Finance committee is still good, Mark?
Yes.
13th at 6. Community relations, you're going to combine, or not 17th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll leave the same,
Okay, 17th and 6th. There's a Bridge Fest this Saturday in the choir community. It's a pretty event. Stockbridge introduces its first fall festival today, packed music, art, foods, kids, activities, and more. Music begins bright and early at 9 a.m. and continues all day until 5. We have stars over Stockbridge. Location for all movies is the Clark Park on the 21st. Movies will start at 7 p.m. This movie will be Monsters vs. Aliens. It's called The Normal, where you're encouraged to bring your stuff here at night in the park. No alcohol is allowed in the park. And we had our first community bike ride last Saturday. And we're going to do the second one we're going to do is on the 22nd at 9 p.m. Same thing. We'll be over at not Clark Park, Memorial Park. And we basically ride a trail and go down 2 windows. Maybe there's a circle around and come back for 5 miles. Right on that time. And that should do everything. And anybody got anything else? Go. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion, adjourn.
Second.
Second.